The greatest podcast in the world. The greatest podcast in the world. Look at the boy bands.
Friday nights.
Rules that were available. Rules that were available.
Friday nights.
Rules.
Look at the boy bands.
Rules that were available.
Portly Gentlemen's Podcast.
I've got another one as well that's like from fucking oldie times, which actually somehow ties into Shakespeare, Sir Francis Bacon, who we already know from our previous chicken podcast.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that guy is fake.
Well,
man.
I'm going to have a dab, and then
The guy got super drunk and ran out and skinned a chicken.
Yeah, have a dab where you sitting, cunt. What the fuck?
No, I'm still rolling.
Yeah, it's Mickey that's disappointed the group. Yeah.
Sorry,
Fucking
boys.
Michael.
Well, should we start with our Mick?
Yeah, fucking. Fucking oath.
Well, there's a lot to talk about, traveling all back through town. So true, but a lot of lies. And you got some guys who got a lot of time. They're the portly gentlemen, they're friends of yours and friends of mine. We're the portly gentlemen. We've done it one time and we'll do it again. Here we go with another conversation. Ain't no time to be wasting. Well, ain't no time to be wasting time. 'Cause we're talking about time traveling.
Wait, this is probably on me, but I thought that intro song would be good.
That's so harsh, man.
Tonight's topic, requiring a massive 1.21 gigawatts, traveling to your earballs at a blistering speed of 88 miles per hour. The most overdone movie trope of all time, from the IBM 1500 and the man responsible for Freemason, all the way back to the future. That's right, tonight we are talking about time travel. So make sure you top up your flux capacitor and strap in for the next installment of the Portly Gentlemen's Podcast.
So, throughout the last, I want to say 30 years, we have had quite the influx of time travel stories.
Sweet, it's for sure, yes.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
what I would like to start on, some people would say it was disproved, but John Titor, I guess you could say.
I like to say Titor.
Titor?
Titor.
All I'm going to say he was very convincing until the moment he was proven wrong and then disappeared from the internet.
He started it all, really, didn't he?
No, not really, man. There's been like people reported to be like time travelers before him. Like there's people who've claimed that. I'm sure of it, man.
I just feel like he was the most convincing one, though. But you,
Yeah.
like,
I thought he was the one
that.
that started the hype about time traveling.
Yeah,
Is he a real person or is he just an internet forum post?
Oh,
Both,
well, that's
I
that's
feel
the
like he
thing.
was just the first.
How do you
internet
know-
troll.
Okay, so the things posted under his name, under John Titor, he was right for about 6 years. Everything that he posted came true. And then all of a sudden it was just completely wrong, and then he disappeared off the internet.
Yeah, but that could kind of
He fucked his timeline.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, well, like,
anymore.
Well,
that could
that's
kind of
what
be
happens
because
if you travel to the past then becomes your future, and you can't know your future. So of course you got something wrong.
As soon as you edit one thing, you can't.
here's the thing about that. Like that's one of the time travel. What do they call them?
Paradoxes.
Paradigms, yeah, paradox. Whereas, like, you can't go to the past to alter an event from the future because if you actually alter it, then it's still going to it like would have never occurred in the future. So why would you be there in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
all you've done is create like a separate timeline.
Yeah.
So
But that's the thing. If you go back
He
to
wasn't-
the past then becomes your future, and you can't know your future. So of course it's going to change.
yeah, I guess in a
Yeah,
sense,
so-
man.
So
But if you're
so
not
one of the things-
actively going back to like alter anything in the past, like he's going to get one of these
Dude,
Dude,
computers.
as soon as you step forward.
Yeah, as soon as you're in the past, you've altered it,
Yeah.
regardless of what you're trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do.
As soon
Yeah,
as
I
you take
guess.
that step.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
but
running the whole
your
theory of
influence as
like,
a person might not like change the the course of history. If you just
What
go
do you
back
mean?
to observe or take a computer, like it
I
doesn't.
know,
No, dude, butterfly effect.
Yeah, dude, they made
yeah, I
a
was gonna
movie.
say,
Yes,
isn't this
classic
like the
butterfly
whole
effect.
thing where like you have
That's
your
the-
two choices? If you go down route A, then the ultimate universe picks route B, and it's like that whole branch. So if they go back in time, they're essentially creating a whole another branch, and
Yeah, like
so
the
forth
moment you
and
go back
so
in
forth.
time, you've altered time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you weren't there at that point, and
It-
now you are,
but-
and so of course time
They,
can't
they
be
did
the
it.
same.
They even did it and explained it in the Avengers. Time travel doesn't work that way, guys.
Yeah, but he kind of had a reason for why that would happen though as well, because his excuse was the like multiple world, multiple timeline theory, right?
Yeah.
So like he was saying that certain things that occurred in his timeline might not occur in our certain timeline, but he'd come to our timeline to fix shit in the future of his timeline, sort of thing. So it wasn't like
Yeah,
that
he
sort of
came
would
to-
make
It was,
Why would he
kind of
even
like
do
the
something about
the
his
details
timeline?
would change, but the key points would be the same. And it was
Yeah.
like the key points that he was trying to change.
Yeah, so
makes
if that
sense.
was the case, then why would he even bother going back? Because he knows that there is a timeline out there that exists where it's not the way that
Yeah, but that's like
Because he
one
was trying to
timeline.
shift us onto a different timeline
Yeah.
where those things didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah.
By,
there was like-
by
it's
getting
like
his
a-
hand on an IBM 5000.
no,
That's what
see, like,
fucking.
That was probably the
No,
most
no.
advanced computer at the time.
but he
Yeah,
wasn't
but
going
he
like he.
needed that computer at that moment to do a certain task.
Yeah, but you needed that computer because that computer had certain fucking like instructions it sent to the CPU. Which
No, like
computers
Did
after
the
that
lost
sent
I thought
different.
it
bit
was
drive
just-
on his hard drive. Like he's gone back to the past to get his Bitcoin fucking from his hard drive, which
Yeah.
he lost.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah, 'cause
He
he's
did go back
secretly
to the
like a
past to
billionaire
fucking
now.
buy some
He
Bitcoin.
mined them.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That sounds.
That's a good theory.
Mm.
He wasn't trying to say.
I can go back and be
he's
like,
trying to
yeah,
be a
wait,
millionaire.
this is my Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
jump all over that.
His 13-year-old self bought 100,000 Bitcoin when it was worth 1 cent.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking oath. I would do that too.
Fuck yeah. And then make up
I mean,
some
what
bullshit
better
about
motivation
world wars.
Yeah. What better motivation to travel through time than greed? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
it's clearly
I feel like
anyone
that's
who
the
wants to
only
travel
fucking
back through
real-
time
Or
wants to
even
go
if
back
anybody,
and bet on
But then-
world
but
events.
like-
Like,
or even
if
anybody
you're
who has the
traveling-
capacity to, like, if you
Yeah.
have the capacity, like, if you're somebody that has the capacity to have a fucking time machine, you're probably going to be like, oh, what can I use my, like, if you like,
yeah.
who's going to have it? The biggest corporations, and they're not
Yeah.
going to be like, oh, let's not use it for fucking like to get money.
Let's-
Like,
Yeah.
Wait, if I had a time
Yeah,
machine,
yeah.
I would use it
Exactly.
to build Rocco's
Yeah, yeah.
basilisk.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure
no one's
you
gone
would
back to
have
save
US
the world,
Army
man. Fuck
was-
that.
Hey, Mickey, time travel to build the basilisk. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
there you
saying.
go, dude. Yeah, man.
That's
That's
where
what
it's
it's all
at.
about. It all leads to the fucking basilisk, bro.
Constantly
All roads lead to Rocco. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's a catchphrase right there that I can get behind. I'll put that on my fucking crypto coin.
Wait, this Rocco guy, man, has anyone ever seen him?
Yeah.
So, like,
What do
okay,
you mean?
Who's
It's not-
Rocco? I'm lost.
it's
I'm
not
thinking
like
Rocco's
Rocco.
Modern Life.
yeah,
that's what I
that's a
think
whole.
too.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
fucking. That's a whole other fucking episode there.
Hey, Rocco has no hair. He's a bit of a fatty and looks like a bald fat nerd. If I'm being honest.
Oh, so your classic internet
So
troll.
pay me in a couple of
Yeah,
years.
classic Robbie.
Yeah.
Classic Robbie.
It's Paine from the future. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh
You better
no!
believe I'm gonna program that to torture your fucks. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, slowly, you fat cunt. We'll run away.
All right,
was-
so
What did he go back
what was the
further?
original message board? Was it AOL or some shit? Like it was like super early, right?
Yeah. This is when like the internet was all mostly message boards.
Yeah,
This
yeah. I
is
think
like,
it was like
Usenet shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so he started like posting, basically saying that he was from the future, and he was talking about the IBM 5100, which is like at the time they were, or at the time of their original release, they cost $19,500, and they were released in like 1972. So like super early computer. It was basically almost the world's first portable computer.
What does that equate to today's money? I wonder.
1975, dude. It must be like $1 million. Like,
Dude, it would be more than a
holy
house.
fuck. Yeah.
Wait, how much,
yeah.
how
Would
much
be
did you
more
say
than a
it
house.
costs?
It was 19 grand in, what was it, 85?
When you look at it like
75.
then you look at it
75.
approximately.
Oh, it's
I have a
75.
question. Why did he need that
You
computer
still look at it
though?
like what, $74,000?
What was that? Caleb?
Why did he need the computer? Because
can't hear you,
all
Vicky, by the
through
way.
John Titor's messages, he's talking about World War III and all
Yeah.
this stuff. He came back to the past
Because-
to get this computer.
Yeah.
What's the IBM got? Is it some? Oh, all right. Is it something to do with Skynet? Because I don't get it. Like what an IBM could do that a fucking computer these days can't do.
What he was saying at the time was that the reason why he needed specifically that computer was because it was the only one that was able to like translate between two different like computing languages, or like the old and the new.
Yeah, it was
computing
because of
language.
the specific instructions that computer sent to its CPU.
Yeah, that's right. So at the time, this wasn't known. Like this was
So
not a
you-
real
you're
thing, and it
coding-
wasn't until very, very recently, or like I don't know when it was, but I feel like it was more modern. That they actually came. There was some flaw where the designers had created like a back door for it to be able to speak between computing languages or whatever. So he predicted back when it was like in his original posts, that's exactly what he was saying is like the reason why he had to use that one was because everything that they'd built was built on this legacy programming that had been done that was based on this. And so they had to go back to this to be able to then fucking change their time machines or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, to be able
Anyway.
to send the right instructions to their time machines.
Yeah, so
It's like
so
the
basically like
difference in languages. Like this was the only like computer of that age that
Yeah,
had the
so-
right instructions.
Because
Yeah,
the first
so-
time machines
Yeah, right.
won't be ones that send people. The first time machines are the ones that we send data. You'll be sending
Okay.
data back to each other. Because it's
Right.
it's easier to send data. It's been like
Oh,
well known
is
for a
it?
long time. Yeah, it's easier to send data because it's just
okay.
light.
yeah, sweet.
Well, that does make sense though. Like
Yeah,
to send an organic material then rather than fucking data.
It's
That's-
well easier to send in inorganic data, say like
Of
data
course it is.
of an on and off than it is to, and that's why they say
but
What
first-
relevance
thing
does
is,
this have to anything that we're talking
teleportation.
about, though?
Like,
And
Like,
you're
what
so
relevance
sure
does this
of
have
that.
to the conversation we were just having?
Yeah, well, the first time travel will be with the data wise, and so if you don't have a machine that can interpret the data that
So
comes from
as an
the
entirely
now-
separate point, so you're just saying from like, as an entirely separate point, just speaking generally about time.
No.
travel.
No,
He's saying
I'm
that
talking
they're
about-
sending the data back.
Yeah, I'm talking about why Almighty would go for a certain device was because
Okay.
obviously you need something like the first machines that will be able to send data back and forward will be a machine that has some kind of the same or the original concept of the original OS.
You need
so
something
your
to
operating
interpret
system-
it.
And you need something to, as I was going to say, to interpret it and everything like that. But the first things won't be people. It'll be inorganic, simple data, which will be like me sending you information, which is just simply almost like the first people do, what people do with coding is hello world.
So I get what you're
In essence,
saying.
one
I
of
get
the
what you're
first
saying.
things.
I get what you're saying, but my point was the reason why this story was interesting to me anyway was just that like he made a prediction that later, whatever, 20, 30 years later, actually became true. So they didn't figure out.
What was the prediction?
The prediction was that
the coders knew it, CK.
The coders knew it. Yeah, the people that designed it knew it. Yeah, that's right. So if he was working on the IBM thing or knew somebody, then it kind of makes sense. But if he didn't actually know anybody from it, and like then maybe he could have been from the future. So like that's the only interesting thing about it is like that only became public like 20 or 30 years later, whatever it was. So that was the interesting part.
Like he said, like, oh, I need this computer to be able to travel in time and to prove that I've traveled in time. And everyone at that stage is like, nah, you can just use any.
Wasn't one of his.
Like, no, I need these instructions. And it wasn't until 20 years later we're like, actually no, you did actually need those instructions to talk through this fucking network.
Yeah, and there's actually like another example of it. There was like power stations that got had like I don't know whether they had like some kind of virus or some kind of like whatever it was like on their computers where they actually then had to use the IBM 5100. Like they had to find a bunch of IBM 5100s to like get to go and then fix that problem with.
What?
Which like yeah.
How they electricity company haven't updated their software since then?
No. But this is the problem: is that it was updated.
What are we paying the IT guys here for? Like,
hold on. This is the problem: is that it was updated. Like that was the entire thing. That everything's been updated and updated and updated.
But they use the original source of that code.
It's something like that. And like, I'm not a fucking IT dude, so it's very hard for me to speak. About it. But like,
I am. Yeah. Just ask me, CK, brother.
They use the language of the Calan, you're like half your face looks red, dude.
Yeah, I'm pushing my glasses up. If you got my IT face on.
Has they been putting their hands on you, man?
Have I got a black eye?
Not yet. Yeah, no, but like it's just
more like Alexander.
No, like John Titor, where did he go? So he just disappeared.
Yeah, like he just disappeared, didn't you say? Like, just like.
Hey, whoa. Seth's got something to say. Yeah, as I was saying, CK, it was more the fact that, like, what they're all trying to explain is what I imagine they're trying to explain. And what makes sense is, like, when you go to your different fucking, like, programs or anything you see today, they can use whatever fucking system they made it off. So it could be, like, Python, it could be C++, it could be all these different, like, underlying program systems, but unless you're using the right language for it, it makes no sense.
Okay,
like, your computer will not know what to do with it.
You can almost say it does not
that
compute.
language. Yeah, unless it understands that fucking language. So that actually makes a lot of sense with what Old Matey was saying.
So passionate about this stuff.
Another famous picture on the whole time traveler one, which was that one around Hitler's era. And it's got the guy in the normalized clothes with like an iPhone or something, they reckon it's got or whatever.
Man, most of the ones that I've seen are with fucking phones. They're all like, oh, he's got an iPhone. He's got an iPhone. Why can't he have a Samsung? That's what I want to know. Like,
but it was one of the most famous ones, man. Like there was a whole thing like this one dude. And it was like an old World War II sort of photo.
Dude, so I actually looked into that photo. That photo is one of the ones I looked into.
So you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
So it's actually like it looks a lot more modern than it actually is. So like he's wearing a pair of sunglasses, and they're like Oakley's, but they're actually not. Like if you have a look at the sunglasses, they're actually a pair of glasses that were like popularized during that time, and they're not they're not like wraparound glasses like what we wear.
It wasn't just his glasses, man. It was
but like his clothing, even his clothing.
What he's trying to say.
Even his clothing, it looks sort of similar to what what we call, but it's actually like it's not what it looks like. Like the way that he's standing in the angle of the photo, it looks like he's wearing like a t-shirt. But if you actually look at it from
another view,
you obviously can't look at it from another view. But if you look at it from the viewpoint of like he's standing side on to what everybody else is like looking forward.
Yeah.
what looks like a shirt is actually just the side of his jacket with the collar flip.
Oh, yeah. Because the only ones I've ever seen is just the So
yeah, that was like a big one for ages. But there's
that's that guy with
huge.
like
that's that guy with the printed. That's the guy with the printed tee.
Yeah.
And
he's
he's
got a printed
that's
tee
another
and like
one.
sunglasses, or is that a different thing?
That's the
That's a different
JFK one.
Okay, yeah, because I thought it was like San Francisco.
This is like
No, this was like 19. Oh, even earlier. I think it was meant to be like 1920s, 1930s.
Yeah,
around
it was
like
pretty
yeah.
early. And it was like the whole black and white photo, and he's got like what looks like a smartphone in his hand and shit like this. And he was like, "Oh, what the fuck!"
But
Wait,
there's
if
another
you
one.
have these pictures, you should put them up in the chat so we can see. What
Well, I haven't been able to find that one. It's a very popular one.
Well, the one with the sunglasses and the hipster shirt was one that I saw, but then there's another one that I read about.
There's one with the chick, isn't there? Like
the woman. The woman's the most compelling one for me.
With
she's
Charlie
looks
Chaplin.
She looks like she's talking on the phone.
Yeah, that's the Charlie Chaplin one.
She like puts it up to her ear as she's walking past and like is
so
talking
that one,
on the phone.
That one they reckon is an audio device, like hearing aid.
Yeah, it's like an ear horn.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Because there's another one where there's apparently a guy at a beach, and they're like, he looks like he's got a smartphone.
He's just rolling a cigarette.
He's just rolling a cigarette. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Mike Tyson one?
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh, that's a good one. That one's the most compelling for me because it's someone in the background of a Mike Tyson fight, and he's taking a photo of the fight, and the camera, like so many people have like looked back at that time and tried to match it with other cameras, and no one can actually get it with another camera. And the phone itself, you can actually see it. It looks like a fucking new phone where they've got the 3 fucking different cameras on the cunt.
Oh, right.
I don't want to share a screen. My computer's too slow for this shit. Someone else is going to have to do this for us. There you go.
That's an iPhone.
So yeah, no one's been able to match it up to an old camera, and you can see the couple of fucking camera slots they have for it. But
Dude,
yeah,
that's
like
exactly what my phone looks like, man.
There's no camera back then that was like that. You would hold like that.
Yeah,
with
the one on either side as well, with the flash on one
with the
side.
flash and
one
the
side's
camera.
a light, the other side's a camera, and there was something like that. We had a little fucking webcam thing that was like a little long digital stick, man. So yeah, there was shit like that. That's
what year was this fight? What year was this fight, Calan? Do you know?
1995.
Should be
1995.
Yeah. 1995.
Oh, hey, hold on. Look, they've got the camera pictures right there. They've got the pictures of the actual camera right there.
But they don't match up, man.
Looks like it to me. That middle one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Problem solved.
Sure.
This is
actually
the real
no.
mystery.
There's no middle thing.
Yeah,
Oh, ayo! Or was it that, or was it something more sinister?
Was it something more sinister?
Yeah, dude.
dude,
in my mind, I say that all the time.
Looking at the size of it, man, that could be just some kind of like maybe prototype.
Look at this phone. Fucking hell, how far have we come?
Like, the sizing of it.
My phone still looks like that.
We briefly,
Dude, that's way bigger than your phone.
We briefly talked about this at the end of the other podcast, where we were talking about like, have we actually moved forward with technology? And like, because it's hard for us to imagine, like, to what percentage we've moved forward. But like, the reality is that like, look at that fucking phone, man.
Yeah.
Like, and then go 10 years before that, they didn't have phones like that, you know? They didn't have
go in your car.
Yeah, they didn't have phones that
Phone
could go
in
in your
your
car. They had a phone on the wall, and then go 10 years before that, or whatever, maybe 20 years before that, and they didn't have phones.
What do you keep circling, Ken?
That's sweet.
Turns out I could actually do other things while I'm in this screen.
Oh, this mad dog.
I could write some text.
Yeah, no, like,
I like
see,
the
to me, that just
caricature
seems
one
like
of him
some
as a
kind of,
giant
like,
slug.
maybe photo webcam, man. Like the size of that is actually
I
rather
know,
big.
look at all the other
C
cameras.
one.
They all have
Yeah.
other things, and
But
none
that
of
was
them
the
match
day
up.
and age. That was the day and age where there was the technology entrepreneurs, man. They were coming out. He might have been showing someone like, look, I can do this with this.
Actually, if you look at the second photo, the
Look,
top
size
left,
of
that's
that.
another one. Like that one,
huge,
yeah,
man.
that's it. So the concept behind this one is reload. Can you zoom in? It's the guy on the left.
Zoom and redefine. Like,
Hold
what's the,
No, the guy in the center there.
Zoom and refine.
Yeah, there
Can
you
you make that a
go.
bit clearer? Can you make it a bit clearer, Trent, please?
Oh, dude, I'm doing my best here.
Maybe fix the resolution or something.
So this one is in Canada, and it's the guy in the center. So the whole concept is you see everyone else around him, but this guy's just wearing a plain t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
And everyone's suited up and whatnot. So that
just because he's poor?
Yeah, he's poor. Time travelers can't be poor.
No, it looks like he was just the hardest worker. Like everybody else was still wearing their like fucking long sleeve shirts.
Yeah, dude.
Dude just got
The photo
finished doing
doesn't
a
do
hard day of
justice
digging
because
mud.
there's
What, are they on
about
a mud farm?
50 people there on a hill, and he's the one that stands out because he's not dressed like anyone else.
Wait, you ever rock up to like a fancy dress party just in normal clothes?
Yeah, we've all been there.
Is he holding hands if old man, like the Spanish dude is sitting right beside him? Like,
Yeah, but the other guy looks like he doesn't want him to hold his hand.
Yeah,
He's
he's
like,
looking at him like, what the fuck?
Not in front
Sweet.
of my kid. Not in
That's
front of my
awesome,
kid. I
Trent.
said this. You are gay. I said this.
I've got kids. Stop holding my hand, man.
It's his name, but it's also what he is. You are gay.
You are gay.
There's the whitest kid alive right here.
Yeah, out in the blazing sun too.
Yeah, he's a
That's
ranger
for
for
sure.
sure.
There's your real time traveler.
yeah, that's right.
God, I don't remember this part of the world being so high.
I got a good one for you, boys.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the chronovision?
Chronovision.
No, man.
I've
Hey, you
heard
talking
the
about that
word.
shit held it at the
Is that
fucking
like
Vatican
beer goggles,
back
bro?
in
Corona
the
vision?
past?
Like beer goggles? Just like skull two Coronas and hold them up in front of your eyes?
That's what happens when somebody puts
Corona
Wuhan pops in your face.
vision.
There is a high possibility I'm pronouncing this wrong because I've had a few drinks under me. So
Doesn't show.
At
chronovision,
all.
chronovisor,
Chrono visor.
visa, visor. I don't fucking know.
Wait, chrono as in like
It's
the
Chronovision.
god chrono? Like the CH?
Either way,
No.
it's a machine that was capable of viewing the past and future
It's
events.
Chrono's time.
Its existence by Father Francois Brune, author of several paranormal phenomena books and religion, and he works for the Vatican. And essentially, the Vatican has this in their library, and they've used this machine to look back in the past. And I believe the way the machine works is like an old TV, sort of set up like a microwave style. And
Basically, he's got
they
a
can
security camera in the back of the
look
machine.
back in the past, but they can't choose where they're looking at. So it's sort of
What
Sounds
evidence
like a
do we
Doctor
have
Who
for it?
storyline.
Yeah. What evidence do we have for it? Like, who's talking about it?
what do you
where
mean
did this
evidence?
information
This
come
thing
from?
exists. It's in the Vatican Library.
Okay, let's bring up the fact that the Catholic Church knows what's happened in the past and have chosen to hide this.
I'm
No,
saying
like-
they've done a sneak peek on old Jesus and gone like, oh, here he is in the
Well, chrono being
farm,
Latin,
and he's up to fucking teenage no good. So we better not show this to the rest of the people because this destroys our
It's
image
like
of
they've
Jesus.
invented
and
like a window into the past only so they can look at Jesus.
Mary was supposed to be a virgin.
Only so they can see Jesus having sex with prostitutes.
Yeah.
Wait, with Mary and her friends.
Isn't that his mom?
That's his mum.
Different Mary. Different Mary. This is Mary Magdalene.
Oh, yep. Okay, the
Hookerlin.
Wait.
Babylon.
Let's just pause there right for a second.
Jesus' wife.
Hey, didn't you go to fucking Bible camps until you were like 17?
Yeah, Mary Magdalene was like 4, and he washed her feet or something like that.
Oh, he washed more than her feet.
He washed every bit of that woman's body.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing about like they were actually married and like had a fucking full relationship. There is some like really interesting evidence about, because there's a massive period in the Bible.
Are you talking about the Da Vinci Code right now? Yes. I feel like this is the plot to the Da Vinci Code.
I actually am Dan Brown. I actually, it's the big reveal. I am Dan Brown. Oh,
dang.
Yeah, so no, there is actually like really interesting because there's a massive section of his life that is just like missing from the scriptures from when he's like
whatever, from like 15 to 30.
Yeah, like 32 or something.
Years missing there.
Yeah. And so like there's all these different like theories about he went like to the east and like got taught by like the Buddha, or like he went to like up to like.
I hate to cut you off here, CK, but in those Dead Sea Scrolls that they unburied like 6 years ago or whatever, there were a bunch of stories of like Jesus being a right cunt.
Really?
Yeah. There are stories like between the ages of like 15 and 30, he was the leader of a street gang, and there's this one story where like a group of merchants came into Bethlehem, one of which had been bitten by a snake. And so when they got to Bethlehem, instead of going to the local gang leader, which was fucking Jesus, they went to a doctor so that he could heal their mate of the snake bite. Jesus heard about this and was just like, what the fuck, cunts? Why did you not see me first? He went to old matey, healed him of the snake bite, and then went out into the fucking scrub, found the snake, and turned it into dust for biting old matey, which caused old matey not to pay him respect first.
I would have done the same.
This is a story. Yeah, this is a story that was like written in those Dead Sea Scrolls, Like Jesus was so pissed that these cunts didn't pay him respect. He went out and found that snake and fucking turned it to dust.
I would have done the same thing, honestly.
Classic Jesus.
How dare they not honor me?
Yeah, classic Jesus.
I'm smite their enemy. Like, hang on a minute. Does this make sense to anyone?
I will die for this in the future.
Like, Jesus was like, all right, I'm going to heal you right now, but I'm also going to find that snake and fuck its day.
Yeah.
Classic Jesus. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so can we hear a little bit more about this chronosphere, or are you basically done, Calan? Is that all the Wikipedia you could manage?
So harsh, you dirty dog.
What's the evidence? Like, tell us where this came from. Like, I just want to know, like, what is the evidence for this? Like, I don't.
Again, in its name itself.
Like, you kind of
it's just a good conspiracy theory. So I believe, like that name I said before, Francois Brune, I believe.
Francois Bacon.
So essentially, he was the Pope for the Vatican, and he apparently worked on the project for this chronovision and that. No idea where this machine came from. It's just that he at one point in time was working with it, so it's sort of sealed away in that. But yeah, essentially,
so is it like
the Vatican could look back at time and at any sort of certain date, but they couldn't choose where they were looking at. And they've just fucking locked and sealed it away, and it's just one of those myths. And I think this one dates back too, man. This is an old thing.
I've heard.
I'd say it came after the invention of TVs because they're looking through a TV.
Sure. So is it supposed to be like a TV-like thing? They just switch it on.
Yeah, basically.
Tune it into the right date.
So
I've heard like a fair few things about it. It's
on the world, somewhere in the world. Like you could be looking at a leaf or something. Like
Yeah.
There you go.
How disappointing would that be? Like, you
He
go into
claimed
the
that
day.
the device had been built by the Italian priest and scientist Father Pellegrino Maria Benetti.
It's just made up from the get-go.
Isn't that a bit of an oxymoron? Like
No, but they proved that
scientist?
name is true. That priest existed, and he did what they said. He was a scientist for the Vatican and stuff.
Okay,
so.
all right.
And he did
I'm
come
like,
up
hold
with
on
a fair
second
few
here.
wild
That sounded
contraptions,
not legit.
but yeah, that
What
one.
were some of his other wild contraptions?
When did he live?
I really didn't look that far into it, man. I didn't look up the guy too much. I just sort of divulged in that.
That's okay, but at least
chronovision.
you've got some kind of source. Like it's like you've got like a little bit more information. That's all we're after.
Is that good?
Yeah, dude.
Hey, when did he live?
That was
Fuck you,
perfect.
Calan.
Good job,
when
Calan.
when
Good
was he
job.
alive?
Good boy. Good boy.
Yeah, when was that guy alive? Like,
Are we talking like 1200s or whatever?
it was like was television's a thing at the
Didn't
time
you
when he
say
was
it was
said to be
after
No,
alive?
TV
television was a
invented?
thing. We're talking 2002.
2002. That guy was a con man, Cal.
God, he was a religious con man.
You could
Oh,
say he
religious
was like
person.
con.
There's no such thing as religious con man. Come on.
Master Con.
Master con. Yeah, there we go.
Confucius.
Confucius. So, I might have to I think I want to do an entire podcast just about this one guy. But the Count of Saint Germain. Have you guys ever heard about this dude?
No.
Definitely not. Like, should we have?
He's
like-
Bacon's mate.
It was in school.
He actually potentially was Bacon's
He was
mate.
in Castlevania on Netflix. There you go.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay,
There
sweet.
you
Well,
go.
the Count of Saint Germain is like, and again, maybe like this is a bit of crossover with that Netflix series. But like, yeah, he was like a
He wasn't
alchemist.
evil. He was just selfish.
He was like a like potentially an alchemist, potentially somebody that just lived for a really long time, or else he was maybe a time traveler. But he first accounts of this exact same dude came from 1690 through to the end of the 1700s, but now that doesn't seems like maybe he was just really old when the last account of him happened, but every single account of him he was like 35 years old. So even in 1690 at the first account of him, he was like, I think it was 45, not 35, 45 years old. And so like there's, and again, I'm gonna have to I think this is like a thing that's actually worth like a full episode on. But just briefly, he all through that entire time met every single, lord and lady of that time. It was like super well-known dude.
Socialite.
Yeah, he was friends with the Belmonts.
Who wasn't?
That shit in the line.
But yeah, like there's even a thing saying that that he was the actual author of Shakespeare's work. That it was actually the Count of Saint Germain, and that's where it ties in with our chicken episode. Because Francis Bacon was also a reported Shakespeare, the real Shakespeare.
Oh, really?
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
Wait, Mick, I can't hear you at all, dude.
Oh, is Mick's audio playing up?
Oh no, Mick's audio.
How embarrassing!
Shit itself.
I can't hear you at all, dude.
What a joke.
Fucking, do you even podcast, bro? You can fucking come into this.
Podcast, bro.
Oh, we got 8 minutes of this meeting, by the way.
What are you, the timekeeper? I've got a few other good ones too, but yeah, no, keep going with your Sir James. What was it?
Yeah, are you there?
I want to hear more about Frank Tank.
Oh, dude, I honestly like that's about all the research I did was just that like it's this interesting thing where this guy at the age of 45 was reported for over like 150 years. And it basically then becomes like two things, or like it could be a bunch of different things, right? Maybe it was the same guy's family and he just had like children.
Yeah, who calling them junior and senior, it was just the same dude.
Yeah, but like, but also like apparently he used like different names a lot of the time as well. So it was like
that's the perfect cover.
Yeah. So
you inherit the name and the title.
Like I do feel like that's another podcast for another time because that's vampire.
Yeah,
well, that's right. That's where it gets into like vampire territory, and I genuinely think that it's like potentially, like there's so many different routes that this goes into because like so he knew like 8 different languages at the time, and like
he's a polyglot.
From like polymath. So a polygon. Yeah, he was a polygon.
A polygon. Oh, gosh.
Could you throw a Pokeball at it?
No, Chris is right. Polyglot.
Polyglot.
Yes, I heard. Yeah. But yes, and it could be.
Too much from you guys. That's my bad.
It literally could be just that, like you were saying, Chris. Like, is that maybe he was just like a super intelligent dude, and but
Chris.
But why though? Why though would he have been like 45 at all times for like 150 years or whatever?
Dude,
that's crazy.
Respect that.
I've actually seen a really good one.
You're like, this cunt knows what's going on, you know?
We'll live long enough.
I've seen a good one with Vladimir Putin. Have you seen that? They've got him going back.
Put it in.
I mean, Vladimir.
No, wait, that's his
not the porn actor. Yeah.
Is your mic?
But yeah, no, I've seen photos of him in the past, and they line them all up, man, and fucking all of them, man.
Yeah, dude, he does. He doesn't seem to age.
So vampire.
Also vampire.
Isn't Keanu Reeves a vampire? Isn't that the?
He definitely
recently. He's very old.
It is not looking.
Mickey, turn yourself up, man. Turn your volume way up.
He's been as a vampire, he's still been respecting the social distancing rules, and so he's been having a really hard time.
Go higher.
Didn't they make it like a movie about that? Where,
also, maybe just stop whispering.
My son's trying to sleep in the next fucking room.
Oh, just pull that cock out of your mouth.
Crank your volume, then.
It's up. It's fucking up, dude.
Have you tried pulling that penis out of your mouth?
No, and I never will, Calan. You fuck.
Wait, so what's the verdict on time travel? Are you like it exists? Is it a legit thing?
Wait. Before we get to the theory conclusion,
travel at the speed of regular.
I've got some more gold for you.
Calan's got a couple more gold.
Right. He doesn't. He's just lying.
Have you guys heard of a Swedish man called Håkan Nordqvist?
Yes.
Nordqvist.
Yeah, I met him the other day.
He's a plumber. Well, not a plumber. Sorry, he was working.
He went to a land with pipes and little mushrooms, and it was like, whoopee, I'm going to a castle.
It's a Mario.
Yeah, Chris's impersonation of Mario was way better than yours, Biggie. What the fuck is that?
Yeah, fuck you, Biggie.
Oh, I'm a little man going to a castle. Like,
I like the description.
The least is the princess is in another castle.
I'm going to say my missus is named after.
I wasn't insinuating that he was Mario. I was insinuating that all plumbers live in the land of pipes and go into castles. Like every plumber in history has been to that place.
Fair point.
Good one.
All right,
all
so
plumbers
which is
are
kind of
Mario.
anyway, Calan? What's going on?
Yeah, so this guy was attempting to fix his sink in his kitchen, and he was accidentally transported to the year 2046.
What?
I have heard about this.
That's where he
25 years in the future, though.
he met himself, and he took a photo with himself, and they put the
Yes.
same tattoo.
Yeah, and they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
And there's actually a decent photo. All the other photos from all the other guys from the
Who
future
wants
look like
to
rubbish.
screen share, and we should look up the image to show
Wait,
you.
are we talking about Edward Alphonse right now?
No, it's not from fucking.
No,
What
I
are we
said
looking at?
Swedish.
Love how everything
What,
has to
looking
be an
for?
anime reference.
So Hucken,
That's
so H-A-K-A-N,
reference. Right?
Oh, whoa,
Yeah,
before we get
K-A-N,
too far.
yeah.
Wait, whoa, Calan.
N-O-R-D.
Whoa.
You got like 2 minutes left.
Yeah, do we stop and start another
bits.
meeting?
Nah, just do this. 2 minutes.
All right.
No, you had to go. Yeah, that's him. Go images. So this guy works right here. There you go.
There we
That's
go.
the, that's
He
the
seems
reported
reliable.
video. There's a video we actually
Smaller
took.
than the
Like,
other.
yeah, that's the photo.
Yeah,
So
those are
he-
2 different sizes,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
So-
like one's way
So
smaller
just to
than the
reiterate, there was a problem with his fucking sink. So he
He
went
was
to
working
fix
on
it.
his sink.
He
And he was
found it.
working on his sink.
He found
And
a
he jumped on some
trapdoor.
Goombas' heads.
He found a trapdoor. He opened the trapdoor, dug through it, like went through a tunnel, came out on the other side, and that's the
Don't
photo
you
they
open
took.
that.
What? Is
Well,
that
they-
real? Is that what he
Yeah.
said?
He
Yeah.
took a video.
Video.
Wait, is no one
video.
else
Yeah.
thinking that trapdoor fucking video, like, showing now right now?
Don't you be going through that trapdoor.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
there
you'll
you go.
be teleported to the year 2046.
By the way,
I got that
thought
series,
this
by the way. If
when
anyone
you
wants
said,
it,
Yeah,
I
in
got
I
full.
have to fix the train.
I got that
Oh,
on
we got
video.
less than 1 minute left, so I'm gonna have a quick break and then we can move on.
Yeah, sweet.
Oh, who else has got stuff? I've got heaps.
Yeah, just keep going,
Yeah,
Calan.
you're
There's,
right.
There you go. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
did the Hucken, the
Yep.
Swedish guy that went back.
Swedish plumbing that went back or
We
forth.
had the lad that
Forward.
the-
He went forward.
He met himself 46 years in the future.
Had the same tattoo.
Had the
Oh,
same
man. Where did I write
tattoo.
that?
He said, "You look like me and I look like you. Let's take a photo together. I just went through this crazy sacred tunnel in under my sink. Yeah, sounds like plausible to me. Sounds quite plausible to me."
I can see that happening to like some dude from Logan who goes through a trapdoor under his sink and comes out and finds someone else with a Southern Cross
Just stay
tattoo.
away from
And he's
that.
like, "Oh shit, it's me from the future!" Oh
This
my
is
god,
sounding really,
He's
really
missing
similar
the same
to.
amount of teeth as me.
So have you boys heard the man from Turud?
Yes,
Nah.
this is what I was actually going to bring up as well.
No, break it down. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, I've got the date here. No, I don't have the date. Anyway, this Caucasian male rocked up in Japan, Tokyo. And he's had his passport. The passport's a bit bigger than normal and that. And he's been flagged for it. And they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" And he's carrying euro currency. And but all the things he's got are similar, but they're not exactly the same. They don't match up. And he claims he's from Turud, which is around the United Arab. It doesn't exist in this world, but they've asked him to point it out on a map, and he's pointed to the United Arabs. And he said he's clearly got upset. He's like, "I don't understand. It's been here for 1,000 fucking years. Where the fuck is it on this map?" He can't explain. And they're like, "This is very weird." So they detained this guy in a hotel, put him up in a hotel, and they put 2 guards on the guy to keep an eye on him. And anyway, the next day, they've gone in and the guy's completely disappeared from this hotel. No record of him has ever been seen and that. And the guy completely zoomed from a hotel. That they say that there's no way he could have escaped.
Time traveler.
Yeah,
Time
okay.
traveler.
Just
Classic
the
time
one.
traveler.
Just to begin with, I feel like a story about time travel where you don't know the date where this guy when it
well,
actually
look at the date
happened.
for you.
They do have a rough
This
estimate.
is recent. Like this was like not recent.
1954.
Oh, okay, that's a
1954.
while.
There you go.
Dude,
No,
he
54.
escaped out the fucking window with the bed sheets for sure.
Did he have
The guys
Euro?
in charge were like, he just disappeared. I don't know.
There's no
man."
possible way he could have escaped.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. Quick,
This is
love
grab
coming
those
from-
bed sheets and redress the bed.
I love how the
This
concept
is coming
of
from the
escaping
same place that they
from
give
anywhere-
up.
So I know that one's a fake one because that's actually an old short story that was like urban myth sort of style, and it's just built
really?
and built. Yeah,
Because I saw that, but it was presented as being
yeah,
real.
yeah.
So you're saying that was
Cool.
from a book or something?
It was from a book, a really old book, short
Okay.
tale, and it just got expanded on and embellished, and yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
ended
'cause
up.
I
being, the
definitely
man
saw that
from
one,
Taurus.
but it was like being presented as like here's a real thing that happened. So yeah.
The one that's very similar to that one, and the one that I was sort of like actually, because I struggled with the whole time traveler concept and stuff. I'll find the name. Andrew Carlson. Carlson being Carl SSIN. He was arrested in 2003 for making 126 high-risk stock trades, and every single one of them being successful. He started off. He started his initial investment was $800, and he ended up making $350 million.
Fuck yeah! What a legend.
In what
Gets
kind of
arrested for
time
being
frame?
This
successful.
was flagged.
Man,
Yeah,
fuck
this
the
is the
man.
Catito.
And
This
he
is
was
the Catito
detained.
kicking you out.
Wait,
when
is
you
that
win.
unusual? I do that on a weekend.
Yeah.
He was flagged and detained. He submitted to a 4-hour confession where he claimed to be a time traveler from 200 years in the future. He offered to tell investigators such thing as the whereabouts of Osama bin Laden and the cure for AIDS in return for a lesser punishment.
Fuck.
He never got to tell him anyone any of this because a mysterious man posted his bail, and he was scheduled for a court hearing, but was never seen from again. And any record shows that he existed. Records show that he never existed.
Well, I mean, with
So this-
$300 million, you could probably do that to a person.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? With enough money.
The question is, can he get access to all that money? Like they
But
flagged
even if
him,
you
they
don't have
detained
access,
him.
so this is one of the things like drug dealers, like a lot of the time, will have like this awesome representation, like the highest paid lawyers in the world, but all of their assets have been seized. So it's like that money's coming from somewhere. You know what I mean? So like in the same way, I feel like that guy with that much money,
he's done it.
He's
before.
probably gonna. Yeah,
He made it from $800, man, doing stock trade. He didn't bring in that money. He made that through stock trading, and he made $350 million.
Well, he did bring in that money. That's exactly what he did. He brought that money in.
$800.
Ka-ching, into the bank.
Check my bank, boy.
So to me, that one's a legit story.
Yeah,
and that one's like the most time
could just be
traveling one that I could find that I felt.
guy. And that he got rich.
To make that many high risk trades and get every single one of them right.
But like, has it been done before or since?
I imagine it would have. I imagine
Not
that there's
on
guys
that
out.
scale.
Yeah,
well,
like that's
I
what
mean, not that
like,
it's
in terms of
recorded to a single person anyway. You know what I mean? Like he could have done that like 13 times before, and this was just the one time he tried to do it out in the open where he pays tax for it and shit. And then they,
100% true, man.
you know,
It's clearly not his name. He's used a different name because there's no record of the guy or anything.
Yeah,
And the only thing they have from him is him claiming to be a time traveler from 200 years in the future.
sounds like some insider trading. The old bait and
Yeah,
switch.
that just sounds like the old paperclip upscale, where they got like some ridiculous shit out of it. You know, like it can happen to anyone, but unless you fucking document it.
I wish I got a paper clip to a fucking 350 million. You're doing something right,
dude.
Well,
I feel
have
like
you tried?
The person who did the paperclip thing got like a
got a good amount
House
of
or
fucking
something.
money by the end of it, man. It was a.
They
it was
got
big
a
thing.
house or something?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
them got fucking shit.
I feel like there's a lot
But
of
that's 'cause
overlap
it was
between these
documented,
time
man.
travelers and vampires, man. It's
Dude,
like,
if
Those
I-
two
if
go
I- if
hand in
I-
hand.
yeah, right.
Vampires
Like,
use it as a
vampires
cop
are, like,
out.
actually
Oh
just
fuck!
like
If
time
I
time
was
travelers.
traveler.
$800 for
Time
350
travel.
million,
Yeah, that's.
I wouldn't tell
I mean-
a fucking soul. You know?
Time travel
That's
that hates
the
garlic.
motto.
Yeah, time
just so
travelers that hate
happens to
garlic.
hate garlic.
And
No
sunlight.
reflection in mirrors.
Yeah.
Garlic's what destroyed the
Because
world
I'm
in
from
the
the
year
future.
2000.
Yeah. It's all we eat. It's all we eat in the future is garlic. I'm so sick
Yeah.
of garlic.
No, but I mean, like,
Also-
it kind of makes sense though, right? Because like technically they kind of are time travelers. Like if you consider like one human life, what at max is like 100 years or whatever, and if you're like alive for 1,000 years, you kind of are a time traveler, even though it's
well,
still only
in the exact same way we're all time traveling right now, then, dude.
I mean,
We're all
in a sense,
traveling
we
at
are.
the
The
speed
whole
of time.
concept
yeah,
of
we
time
are. Like, but
traveling
also, do you not understand
is
that
real.
concept though, Mick? I feel like you're way
Yeah, but
too
that's-
skeptical, like on that as being a thing.
That's like saying
They're not going back in time, though.
They can't go
No,
back.
that's right. That's right. But they are
Yeah.
like time travelers, though, like in a way bigger sense than we are. Like they're
think my-
like that's why there's an overlap. Is because it's like
the biggest thing about time travel is you look at anyone who's boarded the ISS for like any kind of time.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
like
time
they
is
come
so-
back a couple
So
of
they come
seconds
back
younger.
like 2 seconds. Yeah, 2 seconds younger or something like that for living on the ISS for like a year.
No, but that's a relative thing, dude. That's not time travel.
Yeah, but that in a way is like proof.
No,
of
it's
that.
not.
time's relative, though, right?
But to their age and stuff, like you're saying, from your perspective it isn't, but from their perspective it could be. A couple of seconds, how are you going to notice that difference, you know? But eventually
but
they
there's-
didn't, Nick.
it's
Kate
still
Bates
there.
says
But hold
so.
on.
It still
A
is.
couple of seconds in a life. A couple of seconds in a life, dude. That could be
No, a
that's
year.
like that's
A
you
year.
being born or not being born. Like if there's a couple of seconds where your dad decided to pull his dick
Man,
out,
I took hours. I took hours.
Your dad took hours. Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, no
it's a
terror
test
has
tube.
ever taken
He's there for the
hours.
long haul, eh?
it was more of a stew.
I was born in a laboratory, mate. Like, it's
Yeah, I
it was a
believe it.
simple process.
It's Hellcam, you're fading in and out.
It
You're like,
shows.
I think it's
Fucking
just
reality. Trying
I
to
think
take
my
me back.
favorite part about like the time travel thing is the potential for parallel universes. Because
Yeah.
you know when they say you do
Yeah.
if you time travel back, you travel to a parallel,
Alternative.
Alternative timeline, yeah.
yeah, which
Just
in
picture around
sense
and do
is
this
a
as
parallel
well,
universe. Like
Yeah.
if time travel is real, so is parallel universes. And I think
Yeah.
my favorite thing from parallel universe theories is like the Mandela effect. Like everyone knows what the
see,
Mandela
yeah.
effect is, yeah? Has
No,
anyone
it's
heard
no.
of
The
it?
Mandela effect. Just tell us.
Brush this up.
So basically, it's like a misremembrance of significant world events by mass amounts of people. So one of the most famous ones is
Looney
The
Tunes.
Bernstein,
No,
the
Looney
Berenstain. Obviously, the most famous one is Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the late 90s,
yeah,
because that's why it's called the Mandela effect, which in reality didn't happen.
I'm pretty
So,
sure it did, Trent. Just
Yeah, what reality you live in?
Like in my memory, that's what
remember
I
correctly.
associate the most with it. Is I remember when I was younger, I think I remember watching on TV that he had died in prison, but that
Obviously
was clearly
didn't.
not the case.
maybe
Yeah, so I
the media put out a a big.
Shaq-
I was fake
Shaq-
news.
Shaq
Yeah,
being in a movie called Shazam.
Shazam,
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
another big
best
one.
one,
Yeah, I
man.
remember-
Everyone
I swear I
remembers
remember that
Shazam.
shit.
Yeah,
but,
true.
Yeah.
Everybody remembers that shit.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
man.
He was in a movie called Shazam.
Yeah, so the reason why they think that is the case is that at some point time travelers or something has happened which has altered our timeline into a timeline that's 99% the exact same as the one that we're currently living, except for slight details have changed.
Hmm.
Either that or everyone is remembering it wrong.
Yeah, and I think that so it's either one or two things there, right? So it's like time travel or just like mass manipulation through media.
Or it could just be
yeah.
mass manipulation through like, Chinese whispers, man.
Yeah. But like,
See, but
like,
that's
the
where they
Chinese
bring
whispers-
in deja vu as well, man. They say that's another concept of the
parallel
timeline
universe,
being
yeah.
warped. Yeah. So you had that
And
vibe
that's
that I remember this and everything is because that
I think
actually happened, but you're actually running down a different line.
there
that's
was
definitely.
there was something that was
Sorry.
really interesting. I can't remember. Fuck, man, I really wish I could remember it. It was like something about like some experiment that was done about like spiders or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
the old crawling in your mouth when you sleep.
Yes, yeah, that's what it was.
What?
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big
Yeah,
thing.
so this is total bullshit, right?
Yeah, the fact that people swallow like 47 spiders in their lifetime.
I thought it was
Yeah.
9.
While they're sleeping.
9.
No,
whatever
it
it is.
was a
Yeah,
ridiculous
something
number.
Either
Whatever
way,
it is,
it's
right?
bullshit.
It's actually a social experiment that you were a part of. And the fact is that none of that was true. That was put out as literally a fucking like false thing to
see how far it spread.
Yeah, to see how far it spreads. And we all said it to each other.
Really?
Yeah, wait. That's
Yeah.
why you're not allowed to
That's
use your
crazy.
phone at a service station.
That's
It's
so
because
wild.
of an email that
That's
like
the Chinese
a
whisper.
email.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, like you're not allowed to use your phone at a service station? It's because of a chain email that went out that like circulated around, went to someone who worked at BP. They forwarded it. And because someone saw this email from someone at BP, it's now a law that you can't use your cell phone at a fucking service station.
And it's proven that does not start a blow up of service
It
station.
literally can't. Like
How
your
could you-
phone
how could
doesn't
your
give
phone
out
start a
any
fucking?
sparks.
There's no sparks coming out of your phone, cunt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all about the vibrations,
thing.
guys. Come
And
on.
now,
High frequencies, right?
mobile
Mitch,
phones
the way
are
that you said
banned.
that is super low vibrational right now.
But dude, so when I used to
Have any
work,
of you been yelled at a servo for fucking being on your phone while pumping?
dude,
No,
I used
I
to
have.
Because I just use my headphones.
I used to work at a servo, bro, and we
Yeah.
had to watch this safety
Seems like
video
a
about like why don't you use your mobile phone? And the bullshit thing they said was like, oh, when you turn it on, there's a small spark in the battery area with like, and this is back in the day with like flip phones and like the fucking
Yeah, when
batteries.
they
like,
flip it, they flip it over.
It's like an old gas lighter
fucking
to fire it up.
when you pull start it, like
When you pull start your phone, yeah.
yeah. I'm like, this is total bullshit. Like, you guys have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
it's hilarious.
But that's still a thing to this day, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still banned. Like, and there's no
Yeah, it is,
reason.
yeah.
Like,
Well, there is a reason. It's like
No,
a
no.
mass
it's if you
psychosis.
turn it on, you're gonna blow up the servo.
Yeah.
We got bad information, and we think it came from experts. And
Is
so
this like
just-
how Marilyn Manson
I'm gonna say,
had
it's
his rib
just an
removed?
email that was
Is this the
forwarded
same
from
type of
someone who
story?
worked at BP.
Sorry,
so
can you say that
it's
again,
some
Trent?
authority.
I'll just wait.
No, you go,
Yeah.
Trent. My bad.
No, it's all good. It's all good, man. It's like how Marilyn Manson had his bottom rib removed. You remember that?
Yeah,
Fuck,
that's
he's own
another
dick.
good one.
He
Yes.
did that for sure.
Did he
And
though?
No.
Fuck yeah, he did.
Never
Of
did.
course he did.
Never did.
He didn't need to remove it to suck his own dick. He could already reach the place.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone
Piece of
knows how
shit.
big Marilyn Manson's dick is, it's Calan.
That's true.
Yeah, clearly.
Trust me,
He's had his
boys.
mouth in and around that shit.
Yeah.
For a long-
Fucking.
How does that feel on your rib cage, by the way, Calan?
It hurts. Feels like you're missing
Hold
a
on,
few.
hold on. Wait, let's get back to why. But how do we go down this rabbit hole of talking about? Because what is this? What is this effect called?
The
What's it
Mandela
called?
effect.
Mandela effect.
Mandela effect, right? So
Yeah.
going back then, Trent, why did we start talking about this?
Because of the
time-
possibility of
Someone breaking the
parallel
time loop.
universes created by time traveling.
It trickled down.
Yeah.
So time travel could have caused Marilyn Manson to suck his own dick. Basically, is what you're saying.
Well, no, he stopped that.
Get around about
They changed that. That's
That's
what happened.
basically what I'm picking up from
Yeah.
this conversation.
Yeah. So like, don't time travel. Otherwise, next thing you
Or
know,
you might end up sucking your own dick.
fucking Dave
You
Mustaine
might
is gonna be
accidentally
removing his
misplace a
rib.
rib and suck your own penis.
Dave Mustaine's going to be out there
Oh,
sucking
yeah,
his own
Robbie, you got
penis.
this right. This sounds
James
like
Hetfield, they're all out there.
Sucking on their own dicks.
Believe it. So they've already got a fucking name for it.
Did you hear that? You know that Titor dude?
Yeah.
He actually said that Titor fella. What's his name?
Tighter.
What is it?
Tighter.
Titor.
Like,
Titor.
as
Yeah.
in, like, he's like gripping your
Titor.
name. Tighter.
Titor. Yeah.
Titor.
Titor.
Ta-da.
Yeah. Old Titface. When he came back, he said that UFOs were actually, they think that they're people from the future. From his
Yeah.
I know that one. Yeah,
Coming
from
back?
his
Yeah.
future.
Yeah,
And
so,
the thing
he
is-
doesn't know. So
He doesn't-
even in
yeah.
their time, they don't know what UFOs are. They know that they're real, but they still don't know what they are. But they think that they are people from the future coming back to like look at them in the past.
Yeah.
They're fucking not though. UFOs are just like US military black projects.
Oh, is that right, Mr. Expert over here?
Yeah, I love how you say that with
I
such
forgot how that
authority.
household is just full of time traveling experts, eh?
Oh
Like,
my fucking god.
No, they're UFO experts, mate. They know exactly what's up.
No, about everything. About
Sometimes they
everything.
float, man. It's how many fucking weather balloons they have attached.
what is?
Fucking America has you in their back pockets, don't they?
Yeah.
No wonder he's so
Would that be
blue.
fun with you if America was president? Honestly? I
Just,
wouldn't
just
even know
spouting
you
government fucking propaganda. No, it's all us. We're doing it.
Weather
We're the
balloons.
ones in control of
Balloons,
the UFOs.
Yeah.
Alfoil and balloons, dude. That's all it is. Like, I just wanted to make a hat that I could feel telepathically safe in.
Did you get one?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Tinfoil.
alfoil, man.
And did you make enough for the rest of the class?
Yeah, like, what the
No,
fuck?
no.
What the rest of
I
us
tried
have
to
done?
send
It's
it to you,
selfish.
the
Jesus.
easiest way I could, and blowing it up in a balloon and sending it with alfalfa over the top. But it just like magnified the sun and just fucking blew it up.
So I got another one for you, boys.
Right?
Yeah.
The other one I had was the Philadelphia experiment, which is another podcast in itself entirely because that one was huge. And that's where the American Navy tried to invent a cloaking device on a ship and ended up sending the ship 10 seconds back in the path.
Yeah, I've heard about that recently.
I haven't heard about that. Go
It's pretty
further
cool.
in depth on it. Tell us.
It's
tell
like
us more about it.
the project was called the Rainbow Project or something. It's along those lines, and essentially they're trying to.
There's been a lot of movies made about this.
I think there's a couple of movies. Yeah.
There's been a few, man. There's been a few. The whole battleship where they think it's they were trying to in essence teleport it.
It was a destroyer.
Yeah, it was. They were trying to either teleport it, warp it from one place to another, use a cloaking device. It was this big conspiracy thing, just as big as Roswell was back in the day, really. The amount of especially the amount of coverage that thing got for way back then too, man.
What's the actual story? What's the actual story though?
The US Council was saying it was the Navy testing out some kind of either cloaking device or whatever they were testing was what they were testing, but the whole ship vanished. It's gone.
It disappeared.
Nothing seen.
So essentially, yeah, they were in Philadelphia trying to test out a new cloaking device on this ship, and
Sounds like
essentially the ship actually disappeared for 10 seconds and came back, and they had crew on board and everything, and the crew were what's the word where they're like melded with the ship.
Oh yeah.
What?
Well, like
Fused into the ship.
Fused into the shit, man. Like, there's people
there's
just
been movies
like
made about this and everything,
half ship, half fucking gun turret,
Can we
just
see some
firing their
pictures, Trev?
load all over
on screen
Philadelphia.
share.
What?
I want to see these bodies like.
Dude, you just have to look up.
Riding around.
Dude. Yeah.
What is it called?
You have to look.
Philadelphia
What was that?
That was
Crocodile Girl?
That one was like a big
you mean
conspiracy.
Tokyo Gore Police?
Tokyo Gore
Like, literally, it goes
Wait,
by
that
the
was the
name
best movie
Philadelphia
ever, by the
The
way.
actual
Tokyo Gore
documents
Police.
on
I've
the
still
ship
got
that reportedly did it
I
was
fucking love those movies.
nowhere
by the
near.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, show
Nick's
us
got
some
the screen
pictures.
share.
You got some
Yeah,
pictures?
Apparently there's footage. Is there
You
not
what-
footage?
No, there's no footage or anything. This is 1940s and that. This was like during World War II, near the end. But
the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah.
It's so well known. It's
there's no footage of it. But and the guy, it came from one main guy, and the guy was an eccentric sort of guy. He actually wrote to a lot of
Project
people
Rainbow.
about it.
Did he
Project
write a lot
Rainbow.
of science fiction?
No, he's just a real heavy conspiracist sort of fella. He was what's a nice way to say it, but a nut job.
Nice way to say nut job.
Creative thinker.
Yeah.
So he was reportedly working on a merchant ship near it, and there was a few witnesses they'd supposedly seen this all go down. Like
isn't that-
the
that's pretty hard
U.S.
to
Navy has logs on the ship. The ship wasn't there. It was in like Massachusetts and shit. So, like, but how far can you believe the American Navy? That's
Zero.
another thing. Yeah.
Again, it was just like an anti.
Like, look at Pearl Harbor.
But essentially, like, this guy reported that fucking Albert Einstein and everything was involved in this, and like he was around that time, and yes, he did oversee a lot of this sort of projects and stuff. But yeah, essentially the ship took off, fucking glowed green, real bright, and just disappeared, and then came back 10 seconds later, and not at the exact location, but couple of kilometers away.
Yeah, so almost like they traveled slightly into the future, but like the human bodies didn't travel.
But
like,
the human
enough.
bodies, the human crew on the ship actually melded to the ship. Yeah.
Yeah, so it traveled, but the humans didn't, or they didn't travel at the same rate.
No,
therefore they got
everyone on
stuck in
it, but yeah, they just when they came back into this world, they sort of fucking didn't come back.
Definitely
on
feel like
the-
that is a topic we could like it would be good for another podcast. But just
Oh
in
yeah,
terms
man,
of
that
the time
one's
traveling
big
thing,
because it's a big. The whole lead up and everything to it, there's a big story about it. And essentially, they time traveled. But yeah, fuck, I don't know. I don't have too many more than that for time traveling. I really actually, I didn't enjoy this topic. I'm gonna be so truthful, but I think we should go on to theories, conclusions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, where do, all right, let's do it. Where do you stand, Mick?
I reckon that especially John Titor is like a great example. It's like if you're coming back in time with the knowledge that like things that you change create a new timeline, then you have to then also think that every timeline is happening at once. So why would you even bother coming back in time to change that time?
Yeah.
Wait, shut the fuck up, Chris.
Like, what is the purpose of time travel if we go back? It's not guaranteed you go to the same place. That you can even change.
Exactly.
You want to change? Like,
yeah, that's right. The person who sent you back is not getting the benefits of you changing that time. You know what I mean? And also at the exact same time, like that change has already happened.
But maybe they're making the change for their family.
Yeah, it's like sending your kid back in time and saying, "Go meet your mum."
But it wouldn't matter because the change would have already happened. Like that. Like if you believe in that kind of like paradigm where it's like all of these different like timelines exist, then that timeline already exists. So why would you then send someone back to try and like create another
like-
one.
Because if you
like-
don't,
exist, Michael.
it would have
You
never
exist.
happened.
All right, Trent.
What's the opinion? Like time travel's real or not, or
Oh, just
That I
in
believe-
What
general.
is your opinion on the topic at hand? So Mick was saying something. None of us were listening.
I just
so
yelled. Yelled
we'll
a
just he was just yelling at us.
hey, Michael.
What do you got, Biggie?
Oh, dude, I reckon there's very like good possibility that time travel has or could be a thing, but also like you've got like no way of actually verifiably like proving whether it is or not. Like
Yeah, technically
all of the
it's-
stories that you hear about it, right? The person inevitably disappears and is never heard from again. It could be some just loony dude who just fucking tops himself, falls in a river, and is never seen again, right? Or they could actually be a time traveler, but there's no way to verify that until like some point in the future. And so like these guys that have like come back and said they're from the future, and then you get to that point, you're like, well, what he said didn't happen. So, but then there's like easy ways
come
to
back and change it.
explain how that changes and stuff. It's a tricky one, man, because time travel seems so plausible, but then it seems so implausible as well at the same time.
All right.
Okay.
So Biggie's theory is yes.
Yeah, I reckon it's plausible, bro. I don't know if I don't like necessarily these people who claim to be time travelers are time travelers in all cases, or in fact most cases they're not. But because it's plausible, it's more plausible that we wouldn't know about like people who do time travel because of the fact that there's so many different time streams that like if someone did time travel and change it, like it'd just be the way that always was.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't know about
For
someone
sure.
going back to do it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You're
As
right,
long as
Ollie.
they're successful.
One of those things that's almost impossible to
All
actually.
right, Seth, just tell us your theory.
Who?
What's your conclusion? You keep interrupting
Biggie.
Biggie.
Same way Robbie does. I sort of find it one of those things where it's like almost an impossible conclusion because at the end of the day you can just say, well, maybe they were just people who could see the future and not time travelers. You know, you've had Nostradamus. You've got the Russian lady who was the Baba Yaga or whatever it's called, or who claimed to be basically a prophet. Of someone who can see the future, but where do you find the lines of that? Can you not call them a time traveler because they know the future?
Well, they're going to travel in time.
Yeah, but how do you prove it?
I mean, if they can see the future, it's a different thing from being from the
That's
future.
being a prophet.
Yeah, but like
But they're
that's
claiming that they're time
yeah.
travelers, not that they're prophets.
Is theirs more accurate than an actual time traveler? Because as soon as a time traveler comes back, they've changed it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Seth. Like maybe it's just the words that we use. Like so they could be using the word time traveler, like, but maybe other people might use the word like prophet or whatever. Like I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well-
It's such a loose thing, man. It really
Yeah, but
really
like, and that's where I was talking about like vampires before. Is like at the end
What's
of
your theory then, CK?
look, to be honest, like I think the whole thing's fucking bullshit. I think that there's like almost I know, right? So surprising. There's literally zero
What's a
evidence.
red pill answer?
No, like well, it's not really.
Yeah,
It's kind
that's
of a
not
blue.
the metric
It's
answer.
actually
Blue pill.
it's kind of a blue pill answer, man. Like I kind of just think that everything, like all of the examples that we can find that are like best case examples. Look, the only one that really intrigues me is that the Count of Saint Germain, because like there was multiple people over multiple periods of time that were saying that the dude was like looked exactly the same, and they're like all well-known people. So like that's the only one thing that it makes me go like, oh, what the fuck? Like maybe that one. Like I have no explanation for.
That's a
but maybe
good
we
one
need-
too.
Yeah, it's
But
super
then you can come
strange.
down to the whole hidden society. Like obviously, when it comes down to a certain kind of family like that, they're relatively inbred.
So they're going.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, and also like it being that long ago, that like how much of it is like hearsay and like how much of it was trickery. It's so hard to tell at that point. But though generally, I think that like there's no fucking decent evidence for it anyway, other than maybe that one story. But I do really like where Trent went with it, with the what's it called, the Mandala Effect.
Yeah, that's always a good one.
Yeah,
well, what's yours take on it, Chris?
Hey, what?
What's your conclusion to all this?
On time travelers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all just attention-seeking fuckwits who just make up shit-sounding bullshit.
Classic blue pill. Classic blue pill.
But every time you like push them on something, they disappear like smoke.
So like a dad is going down to get milk and cigarettes.
Kind of, but like,
so all time travelers come from Logan home. Is that what I'm hearing?
Wait, but seriously, every time that guy that was posting those John Titor, as soon as he was pushed on specifics, that fuck just disappeared.
I thought he did give some specifics.
He disappeared.
Are you sure?
Yeah, at the start.
Every time traveler, when you like ask for actual details, they disappear.
I read that he gave some. Yeah, I thought he did.
No, I think he was very vague on
like fit any scenario.
Well, no, he gave he gave exactly.
He gave very generic details that could be like interpreted in a million different ways.
Yeah, that's why I got it too.
That dude was like, in this year, this is going to happen, and this year, this is going to happen. None of it was true.
Yeah,
but like he gave a bunch of specific details though.
Yeah, but like when he was posting that, everything that he said this would happen at this time was like a decade in the future that was obviously unable to be proven. And then when that happened, he'd already disappeared for 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, not really.
Was well enough in the future that he wasn't around when those things were bound to happen. So if
he gave a lot of detail. He gave a lot of detail, and it turned out to not be true. Is that what you're upset with?
No, it's more vague. Like that could have unfolded.
I don't think he was that vague, dude. He was
pretty. No, it could. It could fit any transcript the way he worded it. Like,
he said that there was going to be a nuclear war.
He literally said there was going to be
a World War III.
Yeah,
and that never.
He said there was going to be a World War III. There was going to be a civil war in America. Yeah. It was going to be divided into 5 different groups, and then the capital was going to be in Omaha. Like that's not specific. You
that's
know what
very
I'm saying?
specific.
Like, very
Oh no, but there was other stuff that he was very vague on.
Hold on. Like
he was vague on everything.
On what?
Everything he said was real vague.
Oh, fuck,
what are you talking about? We literally just went through a bunch of it. So he said that there was going to be a 3rd World War. He said that there was going to be a civil war in America. That it was going to be divided into 5 different groups. That the capital was going to be moved because of the civil war. That the capital was going to be moved to Omaha. Like that's pretty specific.
That is, yeah.
That was what he said.
To yeah.
Well, not to a certain degree. That was exactly
no,
what he
but
said.
it's how you interpret it. Like in some,
I don't know
some
how that could,
like, I mean, like World War III. I mean, that's pretty fucking out there. Like, that's up there. That's you can't
obviously
be too
none
vague
of it
about
actually
that,
happened.
That was like one of the big ones he made, but there was plenty of others that he actually said that would happen, and it was happening. When he first was coming out and saying all this stuff was going to happen, it was happening.
Yeah.
But the way he was wording it was so vague that it probably was bound to happen anyway. You know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he was definitely one of the ones that was actually pretty specific. But he was just wrong. Yeah.
But he was definitely wrong, right? Unless there's been a civil war that I'm not sure about.
Yeah,
well,
we missed a civil war.
I don't know. It could be happening right now, but
are we getting invaded?
What about you, Trent? What's your take on all of it?
Dude, as much as I would like to believe that it's a real thing, even if it was a real thing, I think it's going to be like the Dragon Ball Z version of time travel, where when you go back, you don't get to affect your own timeline. You transfer to a different timeline where there's no guarantee that what you're doing is going to change the future for the better. So I think
it doesn't affect what's already happened for you.
Yeah, basically.
And yeah, everyone.
Does that give you an answer? I don't know.
Yeah, no,
I'll believe it if I see it, but until then, I don't think there's a purpose in traveling to the past because you can't affect stuff that's already been done.
Yeah, what's the point of going back if it doesn't actually
observing?
I mean,
if you can go back, well, then you can go forward. Because I stand on the fact that you can. Yeah, I stand on the fact that you can time travel forward, but you can't time travel back.
You can time travel back.
No, see, I believe that
time travel forward.
You can go forward, but you can't go backwards in time. And I feel the only way to go backwards in time is like when you see a fucking star 100 light years away and you see explode, but that's exploded 100 fucking thousand years ago, sort of deal.
This goes back to what I was saying.
That's the only way you could time travel is to witness it.
Yeah, this is going back to what I was saying about ages ago, which was the whole like, you know, once you start going further and further, if you had the ability to instantaneously teleport yourself anywhere.
Goku.
Yeah, like instantaneous transmission, be able to survive in space, but like go further and further out, would you slowly see the world, like the universe, becoming what it originally was?
Technically, yeah.
So you're talking about.
If you go out far enough and you can have something that can capture that light, you could technically.
Yeah, because all you're doing is you're seeing the
witness.
So you
but hold on. Then you'd need to have a machine that could travel faster than the speed of light, which we
that's what I'm saying.
Under our current. Yeah, that's right. But
that's what I'm saying. You can teleport anywhere you wanted to.
Yeah. I get it. But what I'm saying is like you're right. You're 100% right. But under the like current laws of like where technology can be.
Why?
I don't think that there's a possibility for us to travel faster than the speed of light to then be able to go that.
Unless you've got a chronovision, man.
More than one place at the same time.
Unless you got a chronovision.
Unless you got the chronovisor, the old TV microwave setup.
Electron can show up at 2 different.
I got that shot last week, yeah. Astro Chrysler, what?
Look, boys, I'm telling you, jump on eBay, chronovisor. There's only one left in fucking availability. But yeah, that's where I feel. Can't go back.
Play us out.
Go
Play
forward.
us out, Biggie.
We had a good chat. It was fat. We talked about some people traveling back and forth through time. And we decided that it was a load of bullshit. Well, most of it anyway. 'Cause you can't really go anywhere in time forward. Hey. Well, you think you're going back, Jack. Oh, I think you're on crack, Jack. You ain't going anywhere, nowhere in town tonight. Nowhere in town. So thanks for listening. We've had a nice conversation, yeah. Now I'm gonna go and wash my hair.
Nice. It's about fucking time.
This is actually the whole reason behind the podcast. Ulterior motives.
Yeah, that's stinking fuck. Wash your hair, cunt.
The greatest podcast in the world. The greatest podcast in the world.
Look at the boy bands.
Friday nuts. Rules that were available. Rules that were available. Friday nuts. Rules.
Look at the boy bands.
Rules that were available.
Portly Gentlemen's Podcast.